Atlanta United Fan TV 2-1 loss to Toronto, and our season is over. Yeah, I mean, it's just wasn't our night. It really seems like lots of missed chances. I mean, at the end of the day, it really could have gone better, but it didn't.
It's just, I'm gutted, man. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard to really say what happened. I mean, the first thing I have to say is all credit to Toronto. Just like Seattle did last night against LAFC, they had a game plan. They came in. They had to be strong defensively. They had to get some luck, and they had to be ruthless in quality in their finishing. And they did that. You got to give credit to them. Every shot they took was on target. And credit to them. They have the experience, and it's a reason why both them and Seattle have been to 3 of the last 4 MLS Cup finals. So, credit to them for that. But, I mean, for me, it's just I'm gutted. I'm really gutted because you could see everything was just setting up perfectly for Atlanta United. Maybe it was just too perfect because I think us as a fan base, if we're being honest, I think a lot of us were looking past this game. I think we thought that it was an important game, but everyone kept talking about MLS Cup, MLS Cup. We're going to get back to MLS Cup. And there's confidence, but I'm really superstitious, and I don't know. Maybe I don't know if the team looked past them. I don't know what it was, but I think with the excitement of seeing that, hey, we could host MLS Cup again, just didn't get the job done. And it's not just on one player. Yeah, Joseph missed the penalty, which was odd, and he was off all night. His touch was loose, and he had a few chances that normally you'd expect him to bury or put on target, and he didn't do that. But it wasn't just him. I thought Pity Martinez had a good game, and really that was it. He had a great run and a great assist, and he was the only player that was really consistently creating. Ezequiel Barco, I thought, had a poor night. Defensively, you were okay. You controlled the ball, but you weren't clinical. You didn't put the ball away. You didn't finish your chances when you had to, and you were made to pay for it.
Yeah. Was it sort of the way we were set up in terms of maybe forward the back with the Pogba on the left, kind of left Barco on an island, so that it was a little bit more difficult for him on the left? Usually we have some guys that can combine so that we can move upfield. So then when we do switch over to Gressel, he is in space, and then that way, we are able to actually create our chances that are actually really legitimate chances.
Well, yes and no, because I think in the first half you played really, really well. I mean, personally, you get the early goal, and you're feeling really good. It was a great goal, perfect move, perfect pass from Pity, great finish, and you feel like we're off. And then you get the penalty. And for me personally, when that penalty was given, I felt so confident. I was like, Joseph's going to bury this, and the game's over. I firmly believed that if Joseph Martinez buried that penalty, the game was over. 2-0 that early, I just didn't think that, even though Toronto had a lot of fight, I didn't think they could come back from that. I thought that the more they would stretch themselves, the more space they'd leave for Atlanta United.
Still lots of chances that were missed afterwards.
The penalty, and the thing is, United played really well in the first half. I thought they played well. They created chances. They circulated the ball. They didn't get anything out of it. They had one passing move where I think they had probably almost 40 passes maybe, back and forth, controlling the ball. And even in the second half, you created some chances, but nothing that you really should have put away, or something that maybe, again, on another day you'd expect a Joseph Martinez to bury. But I think it showed a bit of an over-reliance on Joseph when he had a bad day because other players couldn't step up. Barco didn't have his best game. And my problem with Barco, that you could see early on, and even last game against Philadelphia, he always comes inside. And when you're playing with the Pogba, when you're playing with a Mikey Ambrose, you know you're not going to get an overlap on the left, which means the right back doesn't have to play wide. The right back can tuck in, play narrow, and it clogs with the middle. And every time Atlanta went in the middle, there were numbers there. And personally, my biggest gripe about this game was it took us going down 2-1 for Frank de Boer to make a change. It wasn't working.
For a long while.
Around the 65th minute, you could see, all right, we're doing stuff, but it's not working. It needs a different flavor. It needs a different change. And it reminded me a lot of the Monterrey game, the first leg, where it was like, make a change, dude. It's not working. Something, you needed a spark of energy, a spark of creativity. Some of the players' heads were dropping. They looked frustrated. They looked tired. Bring on a Tito Villalba. Bring him on 65. Give him 25 minutes plus stoppage time to run at somebody, to run at defenders, to create space. Because you know he's going to stay wide. You know he's going to pull that fullback wide, and it's going to create more space inside for you. Or bring on an Emerson Hyman. At the end of the day, you made one sub in a game you had to win, where you have guys on the bench, Emerson Hyman, who can make a difference in midfield, Eric Remedi if you're trying to be more aggressive in midfield. He didn't make any changes.
Was he playing maybe more for extra time, penalties?
Why play for extra time? You're playing at home. You're the better team. You've created you've created more chances, because at the end of the day, Toronto took its chances, but it didn't create a lot of them. Most of them were on the break. And around 65, 70 minutes, when we weren't making changes and the game was stalling out, I felt that goal coming. Having watched the LAFC game last night, you felt that goal coming. You knew that if you didn't take a chance, Toronto was going to. And it was a fantastic goal, credit to them. But you knew, and it was very similar to the second goal that Seattle scored last night, where you have numbers back, you have enough defenders back, but you're not communicating, you're not tracking guys, and you let a guy get a shot from outside the 18 and he buries it. You felt it coming, and the inability for DeBoer to make a change is frustrating. And I think it's just, again, it's so disappointing because you were one game away, again, from hosting MLS Cup at home. Would you have won? Who knows? Seattle's a great team. And in my opinion, I make them favorites to win MLS Cup because they played fantastic against LAFC, and I think they've looked the best throughout the playoffs. Credit to Toronto. They've done really, really well. But in terms of who they have, maybe if Josie Altidor's fit, there's a good chance there. But I make Seattle favorites personally. But you were one game away from hosting MLS Cup, and you always back yourself when you're playing at home. And it's just so frustrating to see it so close and just to not finish the job. And, it was funny at the beginning of the year, they titled this season Chapter 3. And I think really it's more this tonight, in a way, was the end of Chapter 1, I think. Because there's going to be a lot of changes this offseason. The CBA is changing. You could very easily see a team without a Tito Villalba, without a Julian Gressel, without a Darlington Nagbe, without a Leandro Gonzalez-Perez. You're going to see changes. Pity Martinez, who knows? Ezequiel Barco, who knows? There's going to be changes in the offseason. And I think that opening chapter of Atlanta United, those first 3 years, you're closing the book on that now, and it's going to be different. And we've come to expect playoffs and success in our first 3 years. I mean, at the end of the day, it's frustrating because you saw the chance to win a treble, to win back-to-back MLS Cups. But you still won a Campeones Cup. Yeah, it's a one-off, but you beat a very good team in Club America to do it. You won your first U.S. Open Cup. Fantastic game, fantastic trophy. So you've won 2 more trophies you've added on.
In the Champions League as well.
Yeah, you were in the Champions League. You lost the eventual winners, and you're going to be in the Champions League again next season. It's a disappointing taste to leave in your mouth to lose like this at home. But it wasn't the worst season in the world. And at the beginning of the season, when Atlanta United was dropping points and sitting at the bottom of the Eastern Conference, I don't think any of us thought that we'd get to this point. But here we are, and it's frustrating, it's sad, but at the end of the day, it was a solid season. You won silverware. Obviously, the expectation here is to win a title. You didn't, but it could be worse. Now you got to get your stuff together, figure out your plan for the future, move on, and hopefully get back to it next season and get back on the horse and go again. That's the nature of sports. You're not going to win every single year, but, we got our championship last season. We got a couple this year. Let's see what next year holds. It's going to be a long time, I feel like, till March when the season kicks off.
4 months, man. Yeah.
But, because of the season ending about a month earlier, but Champions League will get here fast, and the transfer rumors will get going, and we'll most likely have a player strike and everything. So the CBA will give us plenty to talk about, and who knows what will happen? Who knows what will come out of that? And maybe we'll be even stronger come next season. But
before we wrap it up, we got to big up Michael Parker's outstanding career.
Almost forgot. I mean, you hate to see his last game be a loss like this. I mean, you really wanted to see the captain go off hosting another trophy. That would have been the perfect send-off for him. He's a warrior. He came out here, less than 2 weeks after separating his shoulder and played a solid match. I wouldn't put anything on him, and he left it all out there. And, best of luck to him and his future. And he was a hell of a first captain. And there's so many memories that the Atlanta United will have. And, the images of us lifting our first MLS Cup will always have him there. Same with the U.S. Open Cup. He's been a phenomenal servant to the club. I hope he stays around. I don't know if he plans on going into coaching, but he's always welcome in Atlanta. Incredible guy, and yeah, it's just sad to see it end like this, but it's a good season, and we'll see who wins MLS Cup. I'm gonna back Seattle personally. Best of luck to them, but we'll see what happens, man.
For sure, man. Thank you.
This video is sponsored by Boru Boru Sushi. Get a $10 gift card when you mention Fan TV to our sponsor. Boru Boru is a fast casual eatery inspired by Japanese cuisine with a touch of today's approach towards custom-built meals for everyday lifestyle, specializing in sushi bowls, poke bowls, and sushi burritos in a delicious way. It's Customer Appreciation Week, so get in on their specials from October 28th through November 3rd.